Hey, there it is. He's a bit of marketing. Red Bull gives you wings. That.
Oh, let me tape it.
Yeah, feel like Talladega Nights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big Red. Fuck you. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Neil Pickup, the fat lad, with you here in the mother fluffing house. And I think the last time we did this interview, Justin, I was moaning about how hot it was over here. Well, be careful what you wish for, son, because right now it's pissing down with rain and bloody freezing. Not a good look. If I was to go outside now, I'm sat next to the conservatory at the evening of my house here, and I'll tell you this. I stood outside for 15 minutes. I could cut my way out of there using only my nipples. Mate, how's it been? How's life? In the United States of America? And it's early doors over there for you at the moment. You're just ready to go out and get some work done for the day.
Yeah, I got the crew running now, but it's like 8:00. But we're good. It's been good. It's been cooling off slowly but surely. We had that little hurricane come through last week that they kept saying was going to slow. It's going to be here for days. You know, it's only moving at like 17 miles per hour. And I fell asleep and woke up and it was gone.
I mean, we're pretty fortunate in the UK. We don't really get like abnormal weather. Not severe. Not like you guys over there. Remember I was talking to Jeff Hale and he's like not far from Tornado Alley down there where he lives, and that'd scare the crap out of me. I watched Wizard of Oz once. Witch is dying like a motherfucker in that. And I'm thinking, nah.
We're good on the hurricanes. A lot of times we just get a shit ton of the rain because we're about 3.5, 4 hours inland, a couple 100 miles. But we're right there where when we get tornadoes, we get the big ones. Like 2011, we had an F5 come through, and it wiped out a lot of shit. And on the lake, you could see this thing was like 1.5 miles wide, and you could see where it comes through, and look on the other side of the lake and see where it hit land again. It was crazy. It was the most powerful thing I've ever seen. Like it looked like God took his hand down and went, and that section was gone.
That's some scary stuff right there. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. Thank God I've never seen anything like that, mate. Unbelievable. So, Justin, we got some feedback, son, off the back of the last show. I've got a couple of questions. The first question, and this is from Graham L. Graham, your question, and we got the same question from a lot of guys, and it was basically you talked about Justin coming back down to lightweight, but Justin never focused on why he originally went up to middleweight. Was he forced to do this? Was it something he wanted to do? What was his rationale?
I mean, it was kind of something. I don't like to say I was forced to do anything. You know what I mean? Especially considering these guys paid me. But it was kind of something they wanted me to do, which I was fine with. You know, I don't like cutting weight. I've always been one to just walk in and kind of pull. Even if I cut weight for a specific class, I'd still pull up a lot of times. So I didn't mind. But it was more or less something they wanted me to do. I don't know why. I think the bigger classes get more recognition, and that's probably why. I don't know. I really didn't ask. I've specifically asked for a match with Sam on 2 different occasions, and specifically asked for one. I think it was Tony, just because I think me and Tony could do a catch weight, and we could probably walk in there still eating cheeseburgers and do have a good match. But no, I mean I definitely feel comfortable at middleweight. I don't have to. I'll say this, Neil. I feel in better shape and a better athlete when I have to make weight because it's an obsession more than a hobby then for me.
Yeah, so it's retention of focus kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm constantly looking on the back of shit, what I'm eating, writing down how many calories I'm eating, how much carbs, how many proteins, all of that. And, so I don't have to do any of that when I go to heavyweight. I did when I pulled Rob, but I was only keeping up with the amount of protein I ate because I was wanting to make sure I ate my weight in proteins, I wanted to make sure I was eating 200 to 300 grams of protein a day. And, I'm going to tell you what, that makes going to the bathroom a lot longer. But, I felt great for that one too. I felt bloated, a little hard to tie your shoes, but I was good.
You looked rock solid, there's no doubt. But what was your walk-round weight prior to that match?
Anywhere from 95 to about 98. When I weighed in, I think 201 with my clothes on. So I think that's what Rob weighed as well.
Yeah. He was saying at the time he thought you were slightly heavier than he was, because there was obviously a lot of talk there that Rob's the bigger man, which he clearly is from a frame perspective. Yeah. But in terms of weight, I think Rob, obviously a very intelligent lad that he is, he was taking a little bit of a counter stance on that and trying to swing that pendulum of pressure back your way a little bit because you were the heavier puller.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody at that time had pulled me at that weight.
That was his point. He said, look, we don't know how strong this dude is. Nobody's seen him before. Anyway, did it benefit you? Are you stronger now? Let's say you go back to lightweight now, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Are you stronger than you were? If you did?
Definitely. My arm is definitely stronger. You could say my hand and wrist, go up and down based on injuries, but my arm is definitely stronger. It's kind of has to be. I got a partner now that trains with me pretty often on the table, Casey Coley, and he was 2 years ago he was like 265, 270, and right now he's walking around at 205, and his arm is still really close to where I'm not gonna say it's as strong as 270 pounds, obviously, because that's a big difference. But he's definitely still just as arm wrestling strong as before, especially in his hand. So, I think you can carry that power down with you. Probably more so in our sport than any other sport, I would say, because
it's a frame thing, isn't it? Carrying a small frame up is less advantageous than carrying a big frame down.
No,
people, if you might get a guy who's naturally a bit chubby, naturally a bit heavy, and he tries to cut down in weight, but his frame was never really big at the weight he's going for anyway. If he's got a relatively small frame, you're better to make that judgment on where you are as a person, I think. But if you're a guy that's got a massive frame, and you can drop 4 or 5 pounds and make a lighter weight class, then it's definitely worth doing it. If it's not depleting your body,
No, I would say world class level for me is 76 to 85, somewhere in there. Or is it 87? I think something like that. I would say 76 is probably if I go to any world level competition, I would probably pull in that area. I think it's 72 actually.
Yeah.
Depending on what tournament we're talking about, I guess. But I've always wanted to go to Zloty, and that's what I wanted to pull. Which right now wouldn't be that hard. If say I was prepping for WAL and I wanted to go to that right after, it'd probably be a little harder.
Mm-hmm. So, we had Mindaugas Terasitis on the show a couple of days ago. Are you familiar with Mindaugas?
So I've been watching a lot of the episodes since we talked last. And,
Mindaugas is the real deal. At 154, 70 kilos, at world level, former European champion, silver medalist at Worlds. Very, very good top roller, known for hand and wrist, like somebody else I know. Now then, we were talking about the roster of the World Armwrestling League because Mindaugas has got aspirations to come pull the World Armwrestling League and was on the fringes of doing that. He was a guy that was very much in the conversations, and he spoke about the North Americans, and he spoke about the status or standing globally of the North American pullers, and I wouldn't say he was dismissive, but he was less fearful, less impressed by the majority of the guys that we talked about. If I threw out there Sam Harris, he was like, nah. If I'm like Jeff Hale, he's like, nah.
They're like, they're American.
Not that worried. Two names that he said, oh, okay, now that's interesting. That's somebody I'm concerned about. You're one of them. So he says if Justin comes down to lightweight, that's a guy I get excited about. That's a match that I think, this is interesting. Now, sure, largely that's going to be based on watching your matches in the middleweight division where you've impressed. You were I want to say the only guy that took the pin off Rob. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't think of any. Maybe I'm wrong.
Jordan Seal pinned him once.
So when you're getting pins off the top middleweight on the roster, you obviously have put a pretty clear signal out there of what you're capable of doing when you're firing on all cylinders. And I think that's what excited him. The other name was Tony Kotowski.
Yeah.
Who we know's out for, as I understand it, a long period of time.
Yeah. So I think he probably only mentioned it because I have beat a lot of Europeans. Because I get that a lot from the European guys. If you don't beat a certain amount of European guys, they don't think, which is, and I understand because a lot of Americans don't travel. They don't pull a lot of European arm wrestlers, and it is a different playing field. I don't care what American says what, I'm as pro as American as they come, but it's a different level. It's a completely different style. I mean, when I went over there, I was very surprised at how fast everybody was. Because I'm a fast guy. I'm not slow. But everybody was fast. Not one guy pulled as slow. And,
it's the difference in the tension load as well. The North American style is that I'm going to grip you, you're going to feel what I've got, then I'm going to go from there.
Yep.
The top European athletes, it's nothing whatsoever, and then venom.
I don't think that it's I would say Europe is a little more pro hook than and America's a little more pro top roll. But the biggest difference to me is IQ. And when I can set up with a guy and I can't read exactly what he's doing right off the bat, when I can do that with 8 out of 10 pullers here, that's a difference in experience and IQ on the table. And that's probably what he's talking about. He can probably recognize that, okay, these two guys right here are really good in the setup. Not only strong, but they're good in the setup and they can pull multiple ways. That would be my guess. That and me beating Janis, I get a lot of respect from the Europeans based on that one win. Sure. And I'm like, I've beat a lot of other Europeans. I beat Pascal Gallard, I beat other Europeans other than Janis, but that's the one everybody respects, but obvious reasons, But I'm game to pull whoever they want to put in front of me. Especially, I love pulling the Europeans because I'll go on Instagram and I'll go up like 1,500 followers overnight.
So who are the guys that are on your radar from Europe? Who are the guys when you look at the middleweight roster? Well, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane right about now. Everybody, not a European, but Oceania. Everybody knows the scenario between you and the Ginger Ninja. Yourself and Bowen, obviously he wants to pull you really bad. He's made no secret of that, you and everybody else. But if you said, look, you can pick one guy, I think you were that guy, mate. I think you were the guy,
Yeah.
Now, you don't seem enthusiastic about that match, and I don't believe it's because you are in any way concerned about Ryan or scared of pulling Ryan. I think it's just, been there, done that, let's do something different. That's the vibe I get from you.
It's pretty much that. I don't see a win for me, and I'm all about winning, right? I'm all about seeing where I can take take my arm wrestling career, and it's been there, it's done that, like you said, and that's not taking anything away from him. He's obviously made great strides in the sport since. He's put on a large amount of weight. I believe that he thinks he's already passed me, and he has, so to speak, in size. But what he doesn't know is he was already bigger than me when I pulled him the first time. I was like 197 pounds when I got on the plane. By the time we arm wrestled, I'd lost 9 pounds.
Yeah.
But that's a testament to how hard it is for me to keep it on, to be honest. I think my metabolism is really high. But no, it just doesn't interest me because it's a lose-lose for me. If I win, you beat him. This is 12 times now. If I lose, well, you wasn't supposed to lose. What the hell? I think he's only on me so hard because I think he truly believed in his mind when I flew over there he was going to wax me. And I don't know what gave him that impression, but self-belief is a hell of a thing, and I'm one to say I have a lot of self-belief. It doesn't matter who's across the table, but I got that vibe from him that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to beat this guy, and I'm going to put myself on the map, and it didn't work out for him. And, I honestly, he took it way better than I thought, like way better than I thought he was going to be, crushed or whatever. But I mean, he was I'm pretty sure he went home and did some thinking, but he was pretty enthusiastic about it, to say the least. But I mean, that's mostly though why I don't really want to pull him. It's a lose-lose for me,
Yeah. Do you think you've improved at the same rate as Ryan? Since that time? Because that's his thing, isn't it? We've both improved. It'd be cool to see who's improved most, and Ryan clearly believes that he is that guy.
Is my 42% more than his kind of thing, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think his trajectory and mine were similar, but say you got that 5-tier system, right? And I've been at, in between a 4 and a 5, anywhere in that area. To me, I don't think I'm a 5. I think I'm more of a 4. And Ryan was, on the lower levels of a 3, in my opinion. If I can pin you at that point in my career with letting you hit and not worried about the strap setup at all, like I did the last 2 matches, and smack you down the way Todd does, you're over here and one smack, come back, then our arm strengths are much, much different. Like, 2 different levels. And since then, I have learned even more about pulling like that, which obviously I don't plan on pulling like that, but I put myself in positions in practice and other things. But his IQ was good then. That's what people didn't understand. That's why I didn't talk a lot of shit to him. People's like, oh, you're going to smash this guy. I'm like, have you been watching him arm wrestling? I don't know who he's arm wrestling, so I don't know how strong they are. But he can arm wrestle.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I mean, he takes a lot of abuse. The man can arm wrestle.
Yeah, and that was even, then 3 years ago. He was going around arm wrestling all these super heavyweights across Australia. And, I have to admit, in the back of my mind, I'm like, are you going to fly, 19 hours to get your ass whooped in somebody's backyard, and pretty much crush your career back home, what are you going to do that? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to do that, going to go take that risk anyway, because that's something I pride myself on. If you want to arm wrestle and it's in my, it can fit in my schedule, then we're going to arm wrestle, you can drive to the backyard if you want, and I'll meet you over there. I've done that a couple times. We just didn't let nobody know. But, and I'm going to tell you, that's a downfall to me. I've been seeing as of late. It's taken some of the longevity out of my career, I think, from doing that, not being properly prepared. But, I get off on shit like that. I'm that guy. It doesn't matter weight, none of that, I view myself as an arm wrestler kind of like I view Donald Cerrone in MMA. You know, it doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what time of day. I just love to do this and you know, get down and do it, and let's see who is the man. Because I can be the man today, but that don't mean I'm the man tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So if you look at the roster in the middleweight division now, Ryan's not the guy that excites you. Whether or not your path will cross, we'll see. But I'm going to throw some names your way, and you tell me whether these are matches that would interest you, okay? And there may be guys that are currently roster, maybe guys that have come into the roster or on the fringes of, you know. But I just want to sort of gauge your thoughts on it. And we're going to start with another European, because I know you love a European. Okay? Frode Hogel.
I love that match. And I say that with the most respect. I know people that watch me talk about Europeans think I don't like them. I love Europeans. They're the most. I don't like the ones on the internet. You know what I mean? That's the ones I don't like. Mm-hmm. But I love Frode. He was one of the first ones I've watched. I loved in the Arm War series. You know, any guy who can stand there and look that pretty in that terrible of a spot is a bad motherfucker. Yeah. You know, that's a bad guy. But I'll be honest with you, I think I smack him 3-0. And I say that with the most respect. But I think styles make matches, and his style is very bad for mine. Because I think even, you know, when you're on top, it kind of swaps your side pressure off a bit. But mine's still a lot. You know, I still have a lot of side pressure there. And I beat his left hand, which I think is his better hand, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Not a lot in them. Yeah, they're pretty similar. He's truly ambidextrous.
Yeah, and I beat it pretty easily. You know, we were fairly fresh. I'm not gonna say it was the first match of the tournament, but and then again, like I said, I was the man that day, with the exception of Paul Talbot. I mean, I beat him. I beat Todd Hudson on the same day. That's you know, it's pretty good. But I think the style that he likes to pull, and very similar to Todd. Now, I don't think I could beat Todd right-handed by any means, but they like to turn and push up with their palm. And I have figured out the move is to don't go sideways with that. You pull it straight down and open up the bicep. And especially with the WAL pads having the extra 2 inches on the back, you know, it just I think I hurt his arm after that match too, because I think he lost after that. I'm not sure, but I love that guy either way. I think we'll be two pretty guys in an arm wrestling match. Yeah.
Now the next man up is a similar one, but it's another guy from Oceania, Danny Tesh.
I was gonna guess it. You know, that's who I was gonna say. You know, that's a different monster. His arm is much longer. It's the same monster, really. He's just taller. You know. I mean, I beat him pretty easy left-handed the first time we ever pulled. And every match after that, he kind of burned me out. And it was hard to get around his arm. And looking back on it, I should have arm wrestled him different. But a lot of things led up to that in between that people didn't see. You know, I pulled Ryan, beat him 6-0. They pulled like 3 or 4 super matches in between that. A guy broke his arm. So it was another 45 minutes. So it was a good 2 hours in between that, and I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I was drinking, and you know, I was halfway there, and I was confident as I could be. You know what I mean? I'm like, nobody in Australia that can beat me today. What are y'all talking about? I just beat your best guy easily, and I did it left-handed. Now the first match, the second match, like I said, he pulls very similar, and I don't want to give him too much credit because everybody, you know, but he pulls very similar in the way that Devin pulls when he goes to hook. He just keeps a constant pressure. He never drives. He capitalizes on every mistake you make, every move that you make, because he's never going for the pin. He's just always coming here. And anyway, long story short, you've seen the match, I'm sure. It was 3-1. I think right-handed, I beat him 3-0. I think he's too slow, and I think right-handed, I'm a little quicker, and my right arm's obviously a little bit stronger. I think they're pretty, they run a close race for sure, but I don't see him beat me. I mean, I seen he struggled a good bit with Quinlan, and last time I pulled Quinlan, it wasn't really that close, inside or outside. So, and I don't like to compare anything to stuff that happened last year or the year before, because you can make strides in that time. But yeah, I'm not losing to Danny Tesh.
Brandon Lemon Mulvihill.
Next question.
Paul Lynn.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Now that's a match that excites me. For many reasons. I think me and Paul are a lot more similar than him and I both thought. He actually messaged me after you put out the first video. We talked a little bit about the similarities, and I had watched his first one. I hadn't had time to watch the second and third, so I went back and found time to do that. And very interesting guy, very similar. And I think the things that separate him and I is he's a gym rat and I'm not. So, but what I have found, and I've also seen this in him, I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to.
Do that.
Gym rats tend to be slow, most of them. They tend to be very slow and rely a lot on the load, which is not good if you're facing somebody like me, because I'm not going to let you do anything you want to do right out the gate, And my goal is not so much to make me feel comfortable, it's to make you feel uncomfortable. And I think I could do that with him a little bit. Now, on the flip side, he's the bigger guy. He's probably the stronger, bigger muscle groups, lat, chest, all of that. I won't necessarily say his arm may be stronger, because that's a different type of strength. But his biggest, the thing that worries me the biggest is he trains with people who have victories over me. So, he's got a little inside there, whereas
Storm. That's the guy you're...
Yeah. And I mean, Sam beat me last time we pulled. It was a little bit of a, I don't like to use the word fluke, but I was not prepared. I was actually doing an interview. I thought I was done arm wrestling. And my mom calls me like, hey, they're calling you up for third and fourth. I'm like, what? Because I honestly, between me and you, I was so used to being in the finals. I thought I was done. I was just like, but yeah, he's definitely got that that advantage on me. So I haven't pulled. I don't think I've pulled anybody that's pulled him, which I can dissect footage pretty well. But it's a lot. When you get up there and you grab a guy, it's a little different. Like for instance, with Rob, he did exactly what I thought he would do the first pull. The second pull, he swapped it up just enough. And then I made a mistake and he capitalized on it. And, so it doesn't, you can only break down so much in footage. So, but definitely a guy that excites me, and obviously anybody at the top excites me. And I think me and him are right there. I don't think there's a definitive second place guy. Obviously, I think there's a top four, and obviously number one is Rob. And then the next
who are the four, mate?
I would say Storm, me, Paul, and probably Seal would be my guess. Chile, obviously, but I think he's got some stuff going on with his elbow.
Craig's had dual operations, hasn't he? I don't know where.
Yeah.
Get out there, let us know how you doing. I haven't seen or heard from Craig or where Craig's.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Craig's a bad man.
Yeah. He's one that's obviously been on he's probably my number one guy, just because we're both from the same region. Him and Chad have always been my top two I look up to, just mostly because they're from the South. You got that personal bias or whatever. And for me, it was him because he was closer to the walk around weight that I do, that I can walk around at. Chad can. Shit, Chad is just built so much different. He easily looks 215 pounds.
Like a toy soldier, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to Craig, but I think it would be harder to beat Chad because I could beat Chad one way, and he's not going to pull me the same way. I think I could beat Craig one way, and most likely he'll pull me the exact same way. He might swap up hand position, but he's going to use the same pressures and, all of that stuff. So Chad, I've seen pull many, many different ways. Anybody who can get beat by Todd, go back in there and flash pin him with a completely different move, you're a bad dude. So, to me, he would keep me up at night a little bit more than Craig, but they would both be a feather in my cap to get any win on those guys.
Another man that's been right there in terms of everybody he's always been spoken about, very familiar with Craig, is Moser.
Yeah.
Obviously extremely fast, explosive individual, very strong. What do you know about that man?
I know he's dodged me twice. I'm going to throw some shade out there now.
You got to be done. That's what we came here for.
Yeah. And I don't have any personal thing against the man. Earlier in his career, I thought he was, going for the limelight a little early, saying he's got the strongest hand and this and that and whatever. He's definitely developed into a much better arm wrestler. Anybody can go to Zloty and do as well as he did. Regardless of the field, I've seen people say, this guy wasn't there or whatever. That shit doesn't matter because he showed up and he competed and he, I believe it was second place he took. So, and he took, he took the guy that won to the wire. So I will say this now that I gave him credit on some shit. All right. He's after the go, he's a novice level puller. That's my opinion. After the go, if you stop him, put him in any kind of position, he doesn't know what to do after that. So the key to beating Moser is either go first or stop him. And personally, I'd rather just go first. Now, whether I could do that or not, we'd see. But I got a theory on why. We tried to line this match up several times, and one time I couldn't make it because of W.A.L. stuff. 2 other times I don't really know what happened. It just didn't happen on his end. I think I'm one of those guys he really, really doesn't want to lose to. And I got those handful of guys too, that I just really don't want to lose to for whatever reason. But I don't think he wants to lose to me because I talk shit.
How dangerous is he?
Oh, he's definitely dangerous. Anybody who's that quick and has a hand that strong, because he's not weak. Some people don't like him, and people take too much out of my comment, me saying he was a novice level puller, but that doesn't have anything to do with his strength or setup. I was specifically talking about when the match stops.
You mean he's stylistically reliant on the speed, getting you out of the game early.
Yeah, making any kind of transition after the goal seems very difficult for him. And it's a lot of it's mental. I see it with a lot of my guys in practice. They'll do great in practice, transitioning and setup and all of this, and you put them in the spotlight and they don't know what to do. It's, you got to work on that mentally too. And, I don't know if it's a mental aspect of his game or, he just relies and works on this solely and hasn't really progressed to this. And sometimes it takes, experience, I realized that I always thought my hook sucked, right? And it's mostly after I go back and watch, it's because I would try to top roll and get caught in a hook. So it looked like I sucked. In the matches where I actually went for a hook, 9 out of 10 times I won. So, I had to build up that confidence to go for a hook on certain people. And I think that, it may be something Moser ends up having to work on throughout his career.
Is Daniel a guy that's been overlooked? I mean, his claim has always been that he's been overlooked and he's a clear choice in terms of level. Do you see that? Is he better than a Frode Hoagland? Is he better than Danny Tesh? Is he better than all these guys? Level up on those guys? Is he better than Storm Chelino?
No, absolutely not. All right, on paper, all of those guys, with the exception of Danny, because he lives in Australia, probably have way better accolades than him. So even though Dan has beaten Storm 2 or 3 times, I think he lined those guys up again. And, I beat Ron Bath. I'm nowhere near his level. I know that. I'm aware of that. I had a good day. It's also, it'll be based on which rules, because I think WAL rules, Dan beats half the people he beats on any other table. And there's those small differences make a huge difference. Now, like the pad would be in Dan's favor. The setup is not so much. You can't get off as fast with WAL style setups. That's why, when everybody was like, "Oh, I don't think Dan's going to do that great at Zloty," I personally thought he would do fairly good with if he could keep his elbow down. I knew if he couldn't, because that Louisiana hop's notorious, But I think Storm beats him. I think him and Danny would be a good match. Obviously, if he can't flash, I'll be honest with you, Neil. I think if you put him against anybody, he can't beat him 3-0. He's going to lose.
So Dan Moser, not overly impressive for you. What about Brent Rackers? New guy in town, back in town. Big pedigree, and he's making some waves. What do you know about that man?
Yeah, he's I'll say, I think when I decided to explore weight classes more than just, lightweight or light middleweight, as I call it, 76 class, him and Storm were probably the first 2 guys I looked at, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Storm's a Triple Crown winner, and I want to say Brent is too. So that, at the time, this was before U.A.L. and W.A.L. At the time, that was, to me, the most prestigious thing you could win. I wasn't very educated in Zloty Tour at the time. But as an American, you winning all 3 nationals meant something to me. So to me, those 2 guys were at the top of the level. And, obviously Brent started flaking off a little bit as I was coming in. And, obviously me and Storm eventually got the pull. So I've been looking forward to pulling him for a while. I've talked to a couple of guys, because I heard his name, throughout WAL this year. So I thought, maybe that guy. So I've been talking to a few guys who's been pulling with him, as of late. And, Todd was one of them. So, he looked really big too. He looked, I don't know what he walks around at. I know he can make 98, but, he's a big frame guy.
Yeah, loaded upper body, very big upper body.
Yes.
Small waist.
And, Todd told me his hand felt great. Anytime I pull a new guy in the WAL aspect, though, I feel like I have the upper hand, because, number one, WAL is reffed, and the whole thing is so much different than any other tournament, really, I've pulled, or any other super match. And it may not seem that way, and it's not just the rules, it's the whole thing. You walk out WWE style, the whole 9 yards. You wait back there for hours at a time. You got to be able to process all of this mentally and deal with it before you get out there. And then you get out there and realize 9 out of 10 times, most guys do, that I'm not going to be able to do exactly what I wanted to do. So what do I need to do now? Or maybe this guy's not doing exactly what I thought he was going to do, and so forth. 'Cause I remember the first WAL tournament I pulled, I'm used to pulling with my hand straight up. Even if I have to stick it in your chest, and the first thing they do is pull your hand down, and they make sure your palms are dead even. So it takes a lot of the palm placement out. So, and a guy that relies heavily on his hand relies on that a lot usually. Yeah. So I think I could expose certain weaknesses in his setup early, and where it went from there would, kind of determine how that first match went. But in my mind, if you can beat me on the first go, you're probably going to beat me the next couple. And I hate saying that, but very, very few people have beat me 3-0. And it's not so much that I can't make adjustments, because I can. and I have pulled out wins after losing the first one. But it's that I think people don't know the angles I'm coming at. So 9 out of 10 times when they feel it the first time, that's not what they expected. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes me such a great tournament puller too, is because obviously my tournament wins are much better usually than my super match wins.
Mm-hmm. Which do you prefer, Justin?
Yeah,
Which do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, I prefer tournaments, to be honest, because there's so much more competition there. There's so much more. It's just a variety of things that can happen, you know, and you never know what to expect really. With a super match, you know exactly what to expect, exactly when it's going to happen. You know, with the exception of a few things like winning and losing, you know exactly what's going to happen. With a tournament, you could show up and like this Mississippi tournament, I heard yesterday there's going to be a couple European guys that I've never heard of, you know, and that's what excites me, you know, stuff like that, the unexpected, you know. That's kind of how, you know, I got my name with the Janis pull. I didn't know Janis was going to be there, you know. That's why I say what I said about Dan's victory over there in Hawaii.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he showed up and he did his thing, you know. That's all you can do.
Yeah, you can't knock the kid at all. Ladies and gents, we're about 50 minutes into this second episode with the Bama Bull, Justin Bishop. And that brings us to the end of this one. But we are not done with Justin. We'll be back for part 3 very, very soon. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, anything you want to discuss with Justin, you'd like us to cover off in the next part, please let us know in the comments, PM to the channel, and we will cover it off. I know that in part 3 we're going to move on to his aspirations potentially within the lightweight division as well. And we're also going to get into his mind a little bit more about the mental side of things, the mind games. Obviously, Justin, a guy who's not frightened to come forward with stuff on social media. But let us know what you'd like to discuss with this guy, and we will do so. Ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to the Supernatural Strength channel, please like, share, subscribe, let everybody know about it. And until we see you next time, ladies and gents, take it easy, peeps.